All right, hello everybody. Welcome to the month two training. I'm super excited that you guys are here, and thank you everyone for being part of the Fitness for Veterans Facebook group. If you guys are watching this video and you are not a veteran, please reach out to me to learn more about TruFit and how you can get involved in our online communities. We're doing incredible things. In month one, we talked about resetting your foundation. So we talked about sleep and movement and nutrition and gut health, all of these things to help you stabilize your energy and stabilize your stress and to reduce stress, right? And it's not about being perfect every single day. It's about being having sustainability throughout your lifestyle. Okay, so if you missed month one recording, please go back and watch that. If you're not part of the Facebook group, reach out to me. I can invite you to the Facebook group so you can watch month one training because I highly recommend you guys watch that. It's with Jill. She's a holistic health coach. She did a fantastic job giving out realistic, healthy gut and inflammation tips that you guys can start using on your day-to-day healthy lifestyle. All right. So that being said, guys, once you get your body a little bit more stable and you are better equipped to work on the mental side, you can go ahead and watch this training, which is month two, all about mindset and identity and figuring out what your next mission is now that you are transitioning out of service. Okay. And that's exactly what today is about, guys. I'm really excited to have Phil Reynolds here. He is a mindset coach and the CEO of Reynolds Consulting. And he's going to be guiding us today, guys, through identity and your mission and mental fitness beyond the uniform. So I'm really pumped up about this. Phil, thank you so much for being here today.
My pleasure, Johnny.
So, Phil, before we get into these four key topics, please give us a little background about who you are and what you like to do.
Okay. Well, let's see who I am. I served years ago, served in led leaders, was a leader of a large group of a nonprofit group, and then later went and worked in the education area in doing developing and training, then worked 22 years as a senior consulting partner for the Ken Blanchard companies. And I think I'm 30,000 miles short of 2 million with United. I've had the privilege of training, speaking, coaching, both all across the North America, Canada, Europe, Central America, Asia, Europe, Middle East. And in the process of that, have worked with a lot of veterans in this thing and working with one now. And some of the thing that guided me in this process was really the kind of the frustration that they feel of, as I've talked to a lot of them, now that I'm leaving the service, what do I do? And so that's some of the reasons, 'cause I appreciate so much the service and the people in uniform have given us as a country, and want to try to do something to give back to them as well.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. I know you're traveling all over the world, helping different people out. So I appreciate you being here. I'm sure the veterans also appreciate you being here because I know this is a big thing that a lot of them struggle with. So hopefully, today's video, guys, we're gonna try to keep it somewhat shorter, but hopefully it's gonna be helpful, and we're gonna give you guys some legitimate action steps moving forward here. So, attached to this video, guys, is a PDF that Phil created and shared with all of you guys. And based off of this PDF, you guys can open it and share it, and you guys can and print it off if you'd like. But I'd recommend going through this PDF while going through the video as well, so you can follow along. There are four key topics we're going to be talking about today. And Phil, I'm going to give you free range to go off because you know best. But this first topic is going to be all about recognizing the identity shift. Okay. So letter R
Okay,
on
yeah.
you, Phil.
Well, the transition shift is really interesting. As I've interviewed and talked to veterans, they have a strong identity when they're in the service, but when they're leaving, oftentimes they don't know what that is. They have a clear mission, and yet when they're going into an organization, as I work with organizations across the world, oftentimes they have very unclear missions, and things aren't structured in the process. Rather than a direct line of command, there's a lot of dotted line of commands. There's different languages. People value different behaviors. You operate without rank and sometimes clarity of roles and expectations. And so that's both frustrating in the civilian world, much less people are coming from from the military who are coming into trying to think, what's my role in the process of this? So the first part of recognizing identity shift of who I was in the uniform. What did the uniform give me automatically? Status, structure, belonging, clarity. But what no longer exists, but what shaped me differently, so I can begin to make that mind shift, that as opposed to just thinking I want to get a job, which isn't a bad thing, but yet the process is thinking of questions like this, Johnny. Some of the four quick questions that I worked with one of the former military veterans. When was I at my best in service? What problem was I solving? What personal traits made that possible? Again, you're looking inside as opposed to outside. What skills made that possible? Who benefited from my work? So you can begin to look at what are your core identities in the process. So it's really identity awareness, not nostalgia of what I'm missing, but what's my identity awareness so I can take and translate that into the workplace.
Yeah, and that's really interesting that you say like where did I feel the strongest when I was serving? Because that's kind of when you maybe felt the happiest,
Mhm.
when you felt most fulfilled, and we want to try to find that again now that we are transitioned out, right?
Right. Hmm.
Okay. So did you have off of this first R recognize, right? Did you have any like key questions that you would like for people to take some time to answer on their own? We can either pause the you can on your own, guys. You can either pause the video or you can go back and watch the rest of it. But is there
I'll give you.
anything?
I'll give you four. I'll give you a
Yeah.
four. So, who was I required to be in uniform? So think about the process. Who was I required to be in uniform? What did the uniform give me? For example, it gave you status because it was rank, gave you structure, gave you belonging. That's one of the things that's really interesting as veterans leave because on a I know what I'm going to usually do on a Friday night or Saturday night. If I'm single, I'm going to go out with some guys. So there's element of belonging to people. If I'm married, I'm probably going to may or may not live in married housing. But there was clarity, there was authority. So what did the uniform give me automatically that no longer exists? So what no longer exists, but shaped me deeply. So for example, if belonging shaped me differently, then I need to be aware of that mentally as I move out from the service into the civilian world of I need to begin to look into where am I going to find belonging in the process of this. So, and the fourth question is, what part of the shift feels most destabilizing for you right now? Where that sense of there's that
Oh,
uncertainty, so you can become aware of that. Not that you own it, but you become aware of it, so you can begin to develop a plan and a strategy around of moving forward.
yeah. How hard do you think it is to identify what that missing piece is?
Yeah, that's a great question. Most people aren't self-aware, so that's one big one. Tasha Eurich in her book Insight says 90 to 95% of people perceive themselves to be self-aware, only 10 to 15% are. So part of the process of this process that you're going to be sharing with your group is just that the process. A lot of people just want you, just tell me what I should do. And so part of answering these kind of questions, becoming self-aware, what are the things I might be missing so I can begin to process that through and become more aware of that?
Yeah. I really like that question. What did the uniform give me automatically?
Hmm.
Because those are probably some things that you didn't even think about, like in the moment, right? But now that we're
Hmm.
transitioning out, these are some things that we can think about in the moment to self-identify that missing piece.
Right.
So that might take a few minutes for some of you to figure it out. You might have to write some of the stuff out, write down some of your emotions with certain things that happened to you, and try to figure out what did it give you automatically that you're struggling with now or no longer exists.
Well, and to dialogue it with some other people as well, some of the research I've done around change comes in your world, the fitness world, and in the gosh, what would you call it? The uh, the health world, I guess you'd call it that way. Um,
Yeah.
Research shows this that when I work through the process of something for individual change, if I have someone to work through that process with me, change happens more often. For example, people that have heart attacks, if they don't have part of a group or anything, on average, within 9 months, they go back to eating the same thing they've always eaten. In the If you go to AA, that's why they have AA recovery meetings. Those work when you work it because you have accountability in that process. So part of helping you become aware is sharing with other people. Like for example, you're a coach. When I work with you and on the health standpoint, that helped me become aware of things. When you work with the veterans on the health thing, same type of thing here is that they work with someone to help them kind of discover those things that they may not be realizing about their identity that they're hanging on to, that really could be a significant mindset shift that could hold them back from moving forward.
I love that. Yeah, cool. So really the theme of step one here is just recognize.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's the
Absolutely.
R, so that makes sense. Okay, cool. We're gonna move on to step number two now. I love, Phil, how you started with recognize, because I feel like that is an amazing step one, just kind of figuring out what's missing here, right? Cool. All right, this is
So,
E. So we're just going down that PDF, guys. So if you guys have that PDF, we're just kind of going down step by step.
so exactly core identity, separate you are. So the DNA, as I talked to other veterans, they talked about different elements of it. And I think I shared some of these accidentally earlier because I thought it was, but when was I at my best at service? What problem was I solving? What personal traits made that possible? Again, you're looking inward. What skills made that possible? Who benefited from my work? And what I did is develop what I call core identity drivers.
Yeah,
Core identity drivers are it's a snapshot for assessing where you are. Again, self awareness for career planning, and so it's things like stabilizer, problem solver, developer, connector, executor, strategist, community builder, legacy builder. And I've defined each one of a core function. For example, problem solver, which happens a lot in service, is
yeah,
makes complex and broken systems workable. How does that show up in military and transition life? Troubleshoots under pressure, adapts plans, able to fix breakdowns or fix problems in the moment, anticipates things in the process, also order problems. And where it's suppressed after service oftentimes is things like I get a job, I'm bored, it's underused, I'm frustrated because I'm not solving any problems. I really like to solve problems. Are first by slow and shallow civilian work oftentimes. So what this does is helps you begin to understand, hey, what are 3 to 6 drivers that show up consistently across my work in the different units, different roles, different missions, different seasons of service, and then what are 1 or 2 drivers that feel non-negotiable for you, in the
yeah,
sense of that provides you meaning or significance. It's not a personality trait, but it's really how you naturally create value when things matter, because that will bring about fulfillment in whatever role that you're in. And how do I consistently show up when the pressure is real? And those drivers are those things that show up when the pressure is real.
yeah. I love how you put that these skills that we're trying to identify are not for your resume, which is totally different,
Mm-hmm,
right? These are core identity drivers, right? Things that you're not going to put on a resume, but this is just something of like who you are as a person.
mm-hmm.
And recognizing those identity, like core identity drivers, are things that can kind of help you recognize what you're really good at and what you need to move forward,
Right.
right?
And what you can leverage when you're in an interview, hey, in this role, because of this is one of the things that really drive me. I can do this, this, and this. So again, it's more of an identity around your strengths and capabilities as opposed to just trying to find a job. Is how can you leverage those to get a position where you're going to find fulfillment.
Yeah. This is a really awesome section of this training because a lot of the veterans that are in this group right now are looking for a job. They're updating their resumes, they're doing interviews, they're reaching out to different companies, learning about different roles out there. And so this is a really cool test for a lot of you to do is like write down two different columns. Like one could be your skills for your job, and the other one could be core identity drivers that are maybe not for your resume. And I'm a big believer in writing some of these things down so that if you can write it and you can read it and you can see it multiple times throughout the week or throughout the month, you start to like really learn it, right? So a lot of you who are working with me one-on-one right now, a lot of the times we like write down our goals, we write down our schedule, we write all this stuff down because now it is burned into our mind and into our schedule. So try to apply some of that into what we're doing here. All right, the third one is clarifying those non-negotiables that you were talking about.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, so clarifying the non-negotiables, and I have this in exercise form. So anything that you need, John, and your team needs, I'd be happy to share just free of charge. Just let me know. But
yeah,
it's so you're replacing rank-based structure with value-based structure. When structure disappears, your standards need to replace it. So I had structure. Now I'm trying to replace it with value-based structure along the way. So the five non-negotiables, you're answering the question five times. I cannot respect myself if I live without these five things. And those are your personal rules of engagement that you have. Um, and then the process then you can for reflection is where am I currently compromising on these? Because anytime we begin to compromise on our values, there's internal conflict, and then uh, what's my output? What's going to be my personal rules of engagement as I live out my values in not just my life, but in the work that I'm doing as well. Again, as I interviewed military people, they said in the military it was easy. We had orders, we did this. When you get into the workplace, it's not as always black and white, and there's a lot more gray in the areas of that. So clarifying the non-negotiables, what you will and will not do, is going to be really critical.
yeah. And so I like how you use the word non-negotiables because I use that word a lot with my clients, right? What are some non-negotiable healthy habits that you are 100% able to commit to every single day,
Hmm.
even on a bad day, right? Like drinking water or getting your steps in or eating protein or whatever. But this is totally different. These are non-negotiables for yourself, right? I cannot
Hmm.
respect myself if I live without blank. And I love it because it gets people thinking, right? Like,
Hmm.
what are some things that I respect too much about myself to compromise with um with other things, with distractions, right?
Right.
And going off of your PDF, I mean, physical readiness is a core pillar in my life for sure because it helps so many other things in my life, but service to others and just my own growth and mastery in what I am trying to do in my own life. And I'm gonna be honest, sometimes video games get in the way of that, right? Or sometimes, you know, going out to play golf or,
Right.
things like that. Um but looking at it in a way that is making sure that you are respecting yourself and respecting where you
Hmm.
want to go in life and for your family. Um that's really cool. So you guys take a couple minutes. If you need to pause, you can, but write down um those five
So
things.
yeah, so I cannot respect myself if I live without, what are the five things that you can't respect yourself for? For example, for me, and I'm similar, Johnny, as I have the same thing. I always create what's my one word for the year. My one word for this year is alignment. So everything I'm doing is I try to get alignment with the values I have. And I have a values process. If you don't have that, I have a tool you can use. John, I'd be happy to share it with you. You can put it on your link.
Yeah.
And to where if they, I'm not sure what my values are, what's the process you can go begin to develop? What are your values, the thing that core drives you in the process of what you're doing?
That's amazing. I love that. I like how with each one of these guys, with each one of these steps, we're building off the previous one, right? And we're taking some actionable steps here and writing them down so that we can see it, so it can help us better understand how we can accept this identity change or this transition and know how to manage it, which is really cool. All right, this last one here is your why. We kind of talked a little bit about this, guys, when we were first going through your onboarding with TruFit, but I really am excited about Phil's definition of your operational why here, which is going to be cool.
Yeah, so part of the process, you're just defining why you engage responsibly in your work, whatever job you do. not what sounds good, because oftentimes people will say things that sound good. And it may, if you're getting a job, that's okay. There's a job, and then there's work, and then there's a career. You have to determine what that is. And so it's not abstract meaning, but it's really operational purpose. What's my why? Viktor Frankl, in his book Man's Search for Meaning, great book if you've not read it. Jewish psychologist who was in a World War II concentration camp, and he developed something called the Logos theory. He said, and he began to determine that people that were able to survive the camp, that weren't killed by the Nazis, but that if anyone understands their why, can deal with any what in life. And
Mm,
so locating your operational why is understanding this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. So it's bigger than the process. It's the kind of problem I consistently move toward. It's the things that really drive me, that give me energy in the process, to where I'm engaging, even though this costs me things like time, emotional energy, patience, frustration, slowness, whatever it may be. And I'm driven by this or purpose for this so that I can do this. I take them through the process of really understanding what their purpose is, and answering questions like this: yes or no. Would I pursue this without recognition? And does this require effort and responsibility? Would I stay engaged under difficulty? And if there's any no, then I may want to redefine my why. I always tell people, if I don't play the lottery, if I did though, and I won the $1 million, I would still work. I would still do what I'm doing now because I really like what I'm doing now.
right.
And I get questions asked by my wife and my kids sometimes. Hey, when are you going to retire? Um, and even your in-laws. And I say probably never, as long as I can do video. I don't have to always travel, which I'm okay about at some point. But
Right.
yet, until I can't do what I'm doing, or I'm not making a difference in people's lives, because I can pursue what I'm doing without recognition. Um, it requires responsibility. I don't mind taking that on, and I'm willing to stay engaged even under difficulty, because that's part of my why. So my why I wrote years and years and years ago, and it was, I want to help people discover their purpose and bring that purpose to fulfillment. I could work for FedEx on that. I think it's Margaret Mead. She said, as you think about element of it, you have your purpose and you have your work. Sometimes those are separate. I work to fulfill my purpose. I've met a lot of people like that. Hey, once the clock rings, boom, I'm jabba dab do, I'm out of here so I can fulfill my purpose. Sometimes they're overlapped, and sometimes they're like this. Your purpose and your work are the same. I had a bias toward this. And as I met and I've coached different people around the world, I realized it's okay. It's just determining what yours looks like and what that looks like. So I may do a job because it gives me, I talked to a gentleman at a manufacturing. He says, I wanted to find some place I could make the most money without having to go to college. And so he works at a factory, refinery actually. And he says, because I wanted to raise my kids in this small town, I want to be able to coach their t-ball, watch my daughter cheerlead, my son play football, whatever it may be. But so his work helped him fulfill his purpose, but they were separate. And so it's understanding, that's part of understanding your why as well. So it helps me understand, this is why I show up. This is why I take that responsibility, whether it's this, or this. You make that determination to fulfill the purpose that you've been created for and created to do.
Yeah. I know this is a simple way to do it, right? But I really like that visual that you just gave.
Looks
Um,
better on a flip chart. We can draw the circles, but
with colors
yeah,
and lines and everything.
it's
Yeah.
the lines, everything, words.
I also liked how you put it in a way where it's like, if I made $1 million, would you keep on doing what you're doing now? Right? I for sure would. Not because like I genuinely love what I do. I don't see myself doing anything else ever for the rest of my life. Like if I lost my job and my business and had to move different countries and start all over, I would just do the exact same thing I'm doing now, right? But I also like how you said, would you continue to do your job without the recognition, which is huge, right? Because a
Right.
lot of people want to work because they want to feel good, because they want to make money and they want to do all this stuff, which yes, it is important, but is that the reason why you keep on showing up,
Right.
right? Yeah, that's really awesome. I like that. All right, I didn't put the A in here about the author. If you want to touch on that, we can, but I'd also we can talk about like why this matters as well, right? Which we can talk about in a little bit, but I'd love to talk about a little bit about just being the author of your own personal mission, right?
Yeah. So that leads to your next 90 days that you're going to put in the, I think you're going to put in the notes as well.
Yeah,
Um, Again, it's replacing your unit mission with self-directed mission. Realizing, I knew what I was supposed to do in the military. All of a sudden now, so what is my purpose? Again, it links to the why. If I understand my why, I can deal with any what in life. So years ago, I made a big transition change around my career, and my wife and I we have three boys. At the time, they were 10, 9, and 7.
fun.
Not so great, not so great family planning. But Susan and I, my wife and I, went to one of those like chicken restaurants or something. I don't know, it was chicken sandwich, but it had those little paper and with the crayons you could go on. And so I drew a concentric circle, like a target, like a dartboard or archery board. And I said, I want to be sure that whatever I'm doing is move me to where I'm going to hit the target. That whatever job I take, right now, and I was waiting tables at the Outback. They were only open at night for $2.10 an hour plus tip 6 nights a week to help pay for my mortgage and my kids' school, and my wife was working part time. I said, so whatever I do, I want to be sure I hit the target. Again, this is about 35, 36 years ago. And then I don't have to hit the middle. What happens oftentimes, as I talk to not just veterans but also civilians, is when they're looking for a job, they think I've got to hit the center. No, you got to hit the target, and realize that anything you do from a development standpoint or a career development standpoint or a new job, we want to move toward the center of that target, but you don't have to hit the center now. And so my goal is, I looked at, said, this is what I want to do. And it gave her clarity, which helped for her because she supported me immensely in that process. And then everything I did from then on was hitting the target. That was fulfilling my purpose. That was fulfilling my why, to finally, over what a 20 over 29 20 over 29 year success, is I'm in the middle. If I'm not in the middle, man, I'm right close to it. But I think I'm probably in the middle now of really what I want to do. And not just what I want to do, but it's also who you want to be and how you're living. That's part of your purpose. That's an element of your why too. And so
Yeah.
part of that then is how I define my target. You just got to hit it. You don't have to just hit the center, and then continue to move toward the center of whatever that's going to look like for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I can just imagine like one of those dartboards, and some people like are too afraid to even try, so they won't even throw it. Some
Yep.
people are brave enough to try, and so they'll throw it and they'll hit the target, or they'll hit like the overall, um, yeah, the overall target. But even though they don't hit the bullseye, they think it's a failure, right? Well,
Mm-hmm.
hey, at least you're getting closer, right? And then you
Right.
try again and you try again. You get more experience and you learn as you go, and then eventually you get really good and you can hit the bullseye, right? So I like how you said it's not about being perfect or super successful right off the bat, because it takes time and you need to fail and learn and grow and continue to go, which is great.
Well, it's the same as in your industry, Johnny. You focus on progress, not perfection.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm never gonna get to a point where I'm like 100% satisfied with my health and my fitness. Now, like, okay, now I'm good. Now I don't need to do anything ever again, because I'm always getting better and stronger and taking myself to a different level. And that's just
Right.
how you grow, right? And that's never gonna end. I'm gonna keep on doing that all the way until I'm in my 80s or 90s. Yeah. Could you quickly go over the I commit statement real quick?
So it's a template that I provided you. I think it's in the 9 minutes from. I commit using my. Again, what you're talking about is the skills that we looked at earlier to create blank for blank by blank. And so like one of the examples, I commit to using my discipleship. Excuse me, I remember because I'm reading this from. I commit to using my discipline and leadership to create stability and growth for people under pressure by mentoring, coaching, and leading with clarity. And so it's a process of understanding, however you want to frame it. There's other ways as well. Um, and I have a more elaborate version of the mission statement. If you want that, I can certainly send that to you as well, Johnny. You can put that in your notes, whatever you want to do. But it's helping understand what are my skills I have. And so, for example, when I first did this and created this, I think this is my self perception as well. People skills, communication skills. I'll use my people communication skills to help people discover their purpose or their mission and bring that purpose to fulfillment. The thing that brought that, so, and probably in the update, I think I'll change it to that. But you want to use what are the skills that you have, and then what's the area of what the difference that you want to make in the world. Again, that's not job, that's your mission. And then understanding how you want to express that mission in the world will be up to you.
So
Does
you're
that make
saying,
sense?
yeah, you're saying find your mission as a human being first.
Yep.
Then you're going to have a little bit more clarity and direction if you're trying to find a new job or how to fulfill your
Right.
purpose
Well, it's
through
going back to my
purpose.
concentric circle. Because I had the purpose, then I understood, okay, if my goal is to help people discover their purpose and bring to fulfillment, I'll use my people communication skills, and I need to focus on building my skills around people and communication. So those are the courses I took and things I
Yeah.
enhanced on. Every 2 years, I do some type of training. 2 years ago, I did one on neuroscience and business, and so because it helps with the people and communication skills.
Yeah.
And then when I got certified as a coach 28 years ago, people and communication skills, and that helps people understand their purpose. So again, every job I've taken, every development program I've taken, or a school I've taken, have been moving me toward that process.
Yeah. Because once you got really clear on who you are as a person and figuring out what's going to help you get out of bed in the morning and to fulfill that purpose,
Mm-hmm.
then you can kind of identify how you're going to fulfill that purpose.
Right. And to your point, great, that's great. That's great transition. And going back to my little, I think again, Marguerite, purpose, work and purpose, work and purpose, work and purpose, determining what that looks like for you. So I get out of bed in the morning, hey, man, I don't like my job, but it's helping fulfill the purpose for my family or myself or my kids or whomever it may be, because I'm driven. I hate to use the word driven as much as I'm moving toward that to find fulfillment, because I know the end, this is a means to an end. My job's not an end to itself, if that's your thing. Or I'm connected or it overlaps. And it's okay for your job to be a means to, not to be the means to to be a means to the end. It doesn't have to be the end with itself. When I talk to leaders, I say not everyone wants to be a leader, and that's okay. Now, many of you as veterans think, I want to lead. And by the way, there is a vast, vast vacuum of leadership in organizations right now. Organizations need leaders like you who'll come in and understand how to make processes and things like that. The struggle is going to be and the mindset and is I can communicate with people under my command and talk to them in a way when in the military that when I'm in a workplace I can't. Otherwise, I'll become very acquainted with the HR group.
Right. That's funny. And you think there's a big difference between people going out to fulfill their purpose and feeding their soul versus going out just to make money? Because we've been talking about trying to overlap your job with your identity or with your
Mm-hmm.
mission in life and trying to find that overlap. But I feel like a lot of people will sacrifice their own identity or their own purpose in life with a job that's guaranteed to make them a lot more money,
Right.
right? And
Um,
then eventually it's like I'm getting up. You were just kind of talking about getting out of bed. Now I have to go do my
right.
job. It's something I don't want to go do, but I know it's providing for my family in an incredible way, but I'm sacrificing my own happiness for it.
Well, I'm going to say it depends. For example, that's my common answer, by the way, Johnny. When I was working 6 nights a week at the Outback at 2 10 hour plus tips, I wasn't thrilled. But
Right.
I knew that it was meeting the need of my family, and in my transition, I needed to get a job, a job. I wasn't planning to be a waiter for life, but it's helping meet the needs of my family. And so I was, and that's when I did the concentric circles. That's when all this process. And so that was the beginning part for me. What you want to be cautious of is exchanging your identity, not allowing your job to become your identity. That's one big one. It was just very common, by the way, for just human beings in life. And the other is sacrificing your values for something that's short term, i.e., money. So,
Yeah.
DC and Ryan, who in their book "Why We Do What We Do," they're professors at Rochester University, and one of the things they talk about is extrinsic intrinsic motivation. Extrinsic motivation is something driven from outside, like money. Everybody's listening to this wants money. I want money.
Right.
If I'm driven solely by that, it's always short term because once I think it was Rockefeller who said, "How much money do you need?" And he says, "Just a little bit more." It'll never be satisfied. Or I'll do it as long as I get the money. When the money's gone, I'm no longer motivated. Understanding your why, understanding your purpose helps you be more intrinsically motivated. And that way you're driven by purpose as opposed to money. And you're not exchanging your soul, so to speak, for money.
Do you think your family could be an intrinsic motivator? Wanting to be a better person, have a stronger mind, have a healthier body. Do you think that could be a motivator for
Well, it could be.
yourself so that you can be a better person for your family?
It could be. The question is, what's again? You're moving into a different topic now, which is okay. The question is, what's the thing that's driving the motivation? Is it
Right.
something external? I'll do this and this. For example, I'll do the dishes and I'll go grocery shopping. I'll do this so my wife will love me more. That was going to extrinsic motivator, as opposed to I'm doing it intrinsically because I love my spouse, I love my kids, whomever that may be.
Okay. Thank you. That was just a question I had in my mind. Just
Is that a personal one?
it just came up. No, I mean, because through me coaching a lot of different skilled leveled athletes and veterans, and I feel like a lot of them they need outside motivation. Where I'm
Right.
trying to help a lot of them realize that it's really just on you. You don't need outside motivation to do anything. Because if it's important to you enough, you're going to do what you can to make sure that you get it done.
So pause. That's by the way, you're spot on right. Three intrinsic psychological needs that every person needs to be intrinsically motivated: choice, connection, competence. Choice, I choose every morning to wake up at 4:45 to get up and close my second alarm so I won't wake up my wife, sneak in and change and go to the gym and do my workout, whatever that may be. That's a choice I make. And so we have our choices. We make our choices and our choices make us. That's the
Right.
truth. Connection is, what's the reason I do that? Is one is I want to stay healthy for myself. I also want to stay healthy for my wife, my kids. I have grandkids now, so I want to stay healthy for them and be around for them. So there's a connection. That's a critical thing for intrinsic motivation. And then competence. I feel like I have the skill. Now, when I was first starting out, and I worked with you a lot, you gave me what you enabled me to do is you gave me the skills. Hey, here are the things. I still do some of the things that you showed me on the process of that. So choice, connection, competence. If any of those psychological needs are missing, that's going to impact intrinsic motivation,
Love that.
which is going back to your why and your purpose.
Right. It all connects. That's awesome. That's great. Thank you. Thank you. All right, so how can we initiate this 90-day mission sprint to prove your identity through action?
Well, you just start and go.
Just start and
It's like
go.
it's like it's like working. It's like working. It's like working out. You got to start in the process. Now, it's turning. It's ideally the point is turning your personal mission statement to weekly action, and where you can begin to review it and hold yourself accountable in the process. Am I moving toward where I want to move toward to get the things I want to get?
Right. So it's defining the space that you live in. It's defining your role in that space, right? It's
Right.
defining three non-negotiable actions that you are able to actually commit to every single
Hmm.
day or every single week, even on your bad days where you're in a bad mood or too busy to do anything, right?
Right. So for the like step one is declare your mission. And for the next 9 days, I will focus my mission primarily on you make that choice because you veterans are driven by mission. They have function,
Yep.
and so building capability in others. I gave you some examples in there. And here's the thing: you focus on one thing because if everything becomes a priority, then nothing's a priority.
Right.
So you have to prioritize for yourself because you're not going to have someone else tell you at this point. So this is where, again, working with you would be a benefit. If I'm a veteran, hey, Johnny, I'd like to work with you on the processes. I need to talk through what my primary mission is going to be. And and then you choose an area or role, arena, where do you want to show up? Choose one area. And again, it's the purpose of it is to create alignment about all the work that you've done to help you begin to move forward in the process. The reason 90 days is, I think it was Benjamin Franklin, I don't know. Someone said it takes 21 days to develop a habit. That's not true. It takes 3 months, about 90 days to develop a habit of consistently move forward. And what it gives, whether I'm a civilian or I'm a veteran coming out of the service, it gives you a sense of purpose. It gives you a target to move toward, and you can measure how you're doing along the way.
Yeah. That's great. And that's what I love about the whole 90-day mission. It's like, yeah, it takes 90 days to create those healthier habits, but not if you're going out super extreme and restrictive and to the max. I feel like it needs to be like what you said in the PDF here. It needs to be something small and something that you're able to repeat over and over and over and over and over.
Yep.
That's how you can see that consistent progress. Now I'm not talking about health or fitness. Now I'm just talking about your mindset, right?
Right.
Because that's what this video is about. So identify what are those small, repeatable actions that you can do on a daily or weekly basis that's going to help you move forward in your why and in your that identity shift and who am I now becoming and what is my new purpose
Mhm.
as a human being, right?
Yep.
Because every
Perfect.
father has the mission to take care of their family, right? Or every person who has a job has a mission to take care of their job and make sure they're fulfilling that, right? But as a human being, where am I? I think that's really,
Perfect.
really powerful. And I also don't think this is like an overnight thing. This is going to take a long time to figure out. And like the dartboard, right? Just give it a shot, do something, take some action. That way you can learn from it, and then you can keep on to move forward towards that bullseye.
Well, key word, a phrase I tell veterans going through this: the process is as important as the product.
Right.
And so, if all you're doing is focusing on the end, you focus on the process to get you to the end that you want.
Yeah. Because if you don't focus on the process, you're never going to get to the end.
Right.
Right. So the process is more important than the end because if you don't do the process, you won't reach the end. Yeah.
That's right.
Love that. Phil, this was amazing. It was incredible. It was super powerful and really insightful for myself and hopefully for all the viewers who are watching this, all the veterans and non-veterans who are watching this video. I hope this was helpful. Please go back and rewatch this if you have some questions. Write down some questions in the comments down below. We can get back to you. Reach out to me about TruFit and how you can get more involved with TruFit and some of the future sessions like this we're going to have with professionals about different topics. And then if anyone has any more questions directly to Phil that you would like to ask him, I'm going to put his contact down below as well so you guys can reach out to him for questions or if you're interested in his one-on-one coaching, I'm sure he'd love to get on a call with you guys and talk to you about that as well. So, Phil, anything else you want to leave off to say?
That's it. I appreciate it, and let me know how I can support you and your work, Johnny. And I think it's a great work for the veterans. So thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Phil. All right, everyone, have a
Bye.
great day. We'll see you on the next training.